Thank you for tuning in to the Rock is George podcast, episode 257, featuring guitarist CONRAD VARELA and vocalist MICHAEL THOMAS BECK of the classic hard rock act ESCAPE THE HIVE, discussing their latest album, Fight or Flight. Today we're talking about the upcoming album by ESCAPE THE HIVE called Fight or Flight. It comes out June 26th through Deko Entertainment. Michael, it's been 2.5 years since the release of your debut album, sitting right there in the background. How long after that release did you start writing material for Fight or Flight?
Maybe a year. Conrad, does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think timeline-wise, that probably tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were pretty set on, getting our debut record out, and we're a brand new band. We've all been in, bands in the past, but this was an entity of itself. So we kind of, we really wanted to kind of set things in motion, get on the road, which we did. And then once we kind of got that locked in, it wasn't really by plan. It just kind of started happening. So,
yeah.
Conrad.
Yeah, it was a very, organic process for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Conrad, tell me a little bit about the organic process. Do you guys write separately? Do you write together? How does it work for ESCAPE THE HIVE?
It was really on a song-to-song basis. Some of them were ideas that kind of came to fruition being on the road. Other ones were ideas that have kind of been in our back pockets that have been written over the course of all of our musical careers. So I know a couple of the tunes were ideas that I had saved as a voice memo on 2 iPhones ago that have finally made their way to a group that was able to hear and see the same concept that I had for it and really bring life to it. And others we wrote in basements out in Nebraska from our last US tour. So it was really a mix of the two, but we just try to really represent ourselves, our creative style, our writing style, and just being as raw and natural as possible. So yeah.
Now, Michael, are you more of just a lyrics guy, or do you contribute some music stuff? I don't know if you play an instrument or not.
I do. I play some guitar, but I play guitar like a singer. So, big chords, man. I do all the lyrics and melody, but then we are all pretty responsible for content. Once we get in a room and start hashing stuff out, things usually fall together pretty quickly. And the verse here, chorus there, bridge there is all a contribution from all of us, regardless of lyric or melody or riff.
Right.
It really happens. It really happens when all 4 of us get in the room, and consequently, there's been a couple of songs on the record that Conrad that he and I kind of mapped out together, like, here's the verse, here's the chorus type thing. But again, when we get in a room and Paul and Rich, our bass player and drummer, get to it, I don't want to say it changes drastically, but it hones in drastically. So it's a contribution from all of us for sure.
It really just comes down to having different ears too. Like, There's things that I will hear that I think sound great that don't. And the guys let me know, and vice versa. I mean, there's things that these guys have brought to the table where I'm just like, I never would have thought of that. I never would have heard that in that way. And a lot of that not only comes from our backgrounds as musicians, but the limitations that our instruments provide. As perfect as the guitar is, the way it attributes to songwriting and music production as a whole is limiting, which is why we need a bassist and drummer and singer and not just guitar, as lovely as that would be.
Michael, I see you're there in Sound Vision Studios. That's where you recorded the debut. I'm assuming you recorded the sophomore album there as well. Is this your studio?
It is. Yeah, it's kind of my day job. producer and recording engineer when we're not on the road. So, but then after we got this written, recorded, and mixed, I didn't want to master it. I kind of wanted to have another ear on it, and the guys agreed. And so Brian J. Anthony, who's done the Brian Setzer Orchestra, he's done Slaughter and Warrant and Angel and a whole bunch of bands, and so he's the one that mastered it.
Conrad, when Michael brings you guys into the studio, are you there all together, or is it you go in, you record your guitar parts, the bass player goes in and records his parts?
We try our best to all be there, just because, again, when you've got 4 creatives in a room, there's some magic that can happen for sure, as with any given group, right? But it does sometimes come down to scheduling. We all try our best to be there, because, outside of just wanting to be in the room, it's a good hang. Any excuse that we can get together and just hang out is always a good thing. So, but it's a mix of both. I would say 9 times out of 10, at least 3 of the 4 of us are there for sure.
Michael, is that how you like to do it? The more there, the merrier?
Like Conrad said, it kind of depends. We're 4 pretty busy guys. But especially with like the basic tracks are going down with Rich playing drums, we are definitely all 4 there. Hacking out, what goes where, and picking out certain spots to make things happen. And from that point, it'll whittle down to where, it might be me and Conrad, it might be me and Conrad and Paul, it might be all 4 of us, but it kind of changes at that point. But we definitely are all 4 in the room when it's initially going down.
Yeah, those fundamentals have to be structured as a group for sure. Yeah.
Michael, I feel like you're down a band member. I feel like you were a 5-piece on the debut, and now you're a 4-piece.
You feel correctly. Well, no, I take that because what happened was Conrad kind of picked up the slack. So Conrad is also playing a lot of keyboard parts. The keyboard parts that we had are not forward. They were padding, and we had just gotten to the point where we feel like we didn't need it as much. Conrad kind of filled the slot on the stuff, piano and some pad stuff that he was able to do. And it just worked out cleaner. It just worked out better. The thing about this band is different than I've been in a lot of bands in my career and been fortunate to, play with some pretty good guys. And this is something different than I've ever experienced. The 4 of us are, man, there's just not really any times where there's a lot of conflict. Usually you're in the bus or in the van and there's one guy that's got an agenda or a grudge or a dark cloud sitting above him. And that just doesn't really happen here. When we get back off tour, my jaw is sore from laughing. It's
Yeah.
We get along really well, and trying to replace that, we decided would be a step backward. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did, because again, the 4 of us are, 99% of the time we're on the same page. And if not, it's a quick discussion to get there.
Yeah, and I feel like the way that we wrote, not only on the first but on the second record, the keys played a vital role when they needed to.
Yeah.
And there were only a few songs where it was going to be detrimental without it. And that is really what we've tried to sew in and stitch so that the audience isn't getting a lesser experience. If anything, they're getting a more refined experience.
Agreed.
Conrad, tell me the significance of the album's title, Fight or Flight. There's no songs on the album called Fight or Flight, so this must mean something to the band.
Well, when you've got a lead singer as ornery as ours, fighting or flighting is one of those things that comes up from time to time on the road. So it really is a testament to either, facing your problems at the time and at the place, or choosing to come back to them another time. We're never walking away. We're just choosing when to, step front, step forward. So at least that's my perspective. I thought it was a cool title name. Michael, any other additions to the naming?
Yeah, I mean, and Conrad's got it in a nutshell. I mean, the again, this band it's just a little different. I wish I could explain it better than I can. But we are all four separate individuals that kind of have a lot of the same qualities, but then also have a lot of the same opposites. So if there's a conflict, I want it taken care of now. I want it now.
I want to pump the brakes. I am like, let's settle down.
And Paul is usually the one with the reason, and Rich is
the golden retriever. He's going to join any side at any time. Yeah,
any place. So it's a weird Venn diagram of personalities.
Yeah,
that just work, and that's kind of what Fight or Flight is. It's it's kind of where we are on the second record. We're both with the music, with the record, being on the road, with each other. It's Fight or Flight, and we feel that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the music. Conrad, tell me a little bit how Stings Like the Truth came together. This is one of your current singles.
Let me think about the writing process. It's so funny because, they just, every song just kind of go. And I'm trying to think of what our writing process was behind that one. I mean, I think as a whole, they'll usually start as guitar riffs. This is kind of always how it goes. It can be hard to start a song from a drum beat or, a vocal line or something. So a lot of them start as riffs. And honestly, a lot of them have come from just jamming out in between rehearsals. We'll, get together to rehearse. Of course, people are talking and the guitar player has to be making noise. So, volume up, usually just jamming on a little idea. And then every now and then something will come out that makes all the ears perk up. And we try to, grab it and just hang on for the ride. So I think that may have been one of them that kind of came to fruition like that. In terms of the recording process, I mean, it's always a blast getting to layer and hear everything come to fruition. I am always adamant about getting vintage gear on modern recordings, and I have this obsession with the Tom Schultz Rockman, which going all the way back to interviews we've done about, the first record, the Rockman gets brought up at some point in time, so I need to make sure it gets brought up here. But we were able to implement a little bit of that really cool chorusy effect on that bridge section leading out of the solo, as well as a vintage 70s Gibson 12-string acoustic, a B45 12N, that really added this element. So, if we're going to play interesting and unique music, I like to use interesting and unique gear. And, I think it adds character. It would be one thing to say like, oh, we rented a Taylor from Guitar Center for that section versus, yeah, we used, vintage Gibson American made acoustic that had a whole life before it crossed paths with us. And that kind of, all of these instruments have their own kind of feel and life to them. And you never know when something cool is going to spark. And that was one of those moments where, we were doing it on electric heavy rehearsal. And then we came to the studio and we're like, let's try this. And I think it made the part. So give it a listen if you haven't yet. If it's out, it's out. Maybe. I don't know. I think so. I don't know. I just get a time and address and show up. So I don't know.
Michael, lyrically, Stings Like the Truth. Tell me a little about it.
Most of my lyrics are from a positive point of view. I don't like to write negatively. So even if it's from a negative situation, it's the positive side of it. It's the lesson that you learned coming out of it. because if you didn't learn anything, then you're going to repeat it, type of thing. That's kind of the motto I live by. So Stings Like the Truth is exactly that. It's, someone that wasn't forthcoming, and you realize that, the truth is that it's always been that way, and that stings a little bit. It's not the feeling you were looking for or expecting. So again, it's a positive spin on a negative situation.
So when you say that you like to write lyrics about, positive things and the positive side of negative things and maybe some lessons learned, what's the lesson learned from your song Don't Spill the Wine? And keep in mind, I haven't heard the full album yet.
Well, okay. I try and keep what I'm talking about not so specific that it means only something to me. So I like it when a lyric or a song in general will have multiple meanings to multiple people and maybe not the same thing every time. So Don't Spill the Wine is what it means to me is, again, it's kind of throwing out the baby with the bathwater. You have a negative situation and you're in it, you're going through it. At least out of all things, don't spill the wine.
That was a fun song. That was a really fun one, recording and writing. And that was a Polly. Our bassist came to us with that idea. It was so cool because it really is so different from the rest of the record, but we kind of shaped it and formed it in a way that it still punches you in the face in the chorus, Yeah. I remember I was listening to a lot of Extreme, that whole Porno Graffiti record cover to cover, before we started working on that song. And there was a lot of Nuno inspiration, the guitar part, especially leading up to that main chorus hook. And that was a really fun one to do. The solo, I love that solo too. That was a really fun one writing. It was a challenging one. That was one of those where just it built itself as we recorded it, for sure.
I'm going to call you out a little bit, Conrad.
Uh-oh.
When laying down that solo, he laid it down several times, and there was, and we kind of kept coming back to it. And Conrad really plays his ass off on this record, really does. So it's he had, coming into this band again. I've played with some people I'm proud to say I played with, and we needed someone to kind of fill those shoes, and Conrad did it. And he don't go getting your head all filled up. You still got to come back. We got rehearsals, so just
no. I started screen recording just this section so I can use this later. So just please continue.
But that solo in particular is not an easy solo. It's a really melodic one. It's super cool. It's one of my favorites on the record, and I have a few. But it was funny after the solo got done and got it all pieced together, and then he usually plays the whole thing front to back to give it a feel. And we do that a couple times. But then going into rehearsals, there was just like this last time, we hadn't rehearsed in a while, and we got to that solo, and I'm kind of waiting for it because I know what's going to happen. There's a couple of left notes.
Yes. And the funny thing is, in the moment of recording, I'm never worried about the gear that I'm using at the time. I'm only worried about getting the solo done and serving the solo to the best in its fullest capability. So I've been playing this vintage 94 MIJ Strat it's just been my lost at sea guitar for the last year now. But I'm a Charvel nut, so Humbuckers and Floyd Roses, that's like my go-to. That's home. That's what's safe. And going into the studio, of course, I'm taking the Charvel, and there's a really cool high note at the end of that solo that it relies on having a Floyd Rose. So I've tried to find workarounds of making it happen on the Strat, and it's been fun. I mean, more than anything, being in a group and writing with guys that has allowed me to not only refine my playing, change the way that I write, but also make me get the most out of my gear and really test not only what I'm capable of, but the gear that I'm capable of as well, has been very enlightening and humbling. I'll say that. So it's been cool. And that's I think this record specifically,
Yeah.
a lot of that is coming to light. A lot of that is coming to fruition. And I can just only hope that you and the listeners, enjoy. That's what we're trying to do, is just make stuff that we like, and hopefully you guys like too. So let us know, please.
Conrad, another single that you have out is Around the Sun. Was this material on your 2 iPhones ago, or was it something newer as the album progressed?
This is one that was new. This is one that came to fruition. I think Michael and I were hanging out after a rehearsal at one point in time, with a Les Paul of his, and just time. And the riff and the idea kind of slowly started molding itself. Again, it really is incredible how much comes from collaboration. The song had a vibe to it until we got Pauly in. And it really, the two of us were able, the 2 stringed instruments were able to come together and really figure out where this wants to go, and that's something that I really love. Growing up, being such a huge Mr. Big fan, Racer X fan, anything that basically Paul Gilbert and Billy Sheehan had anything to do with, it's nice having my own Billy Sheehan that I can rely on, because we can both write these really cool syncopated parts. And Around the Sun, I believe, is that's one of the songs that has the most prominent of that guitar bass duo action. And I mean, aside from just being on stage and being able to milk everything out of that, in the studio, it's really fun because we get to write things that you wouldn't be able to get away with a lot of other cats I've played with, and that's not to say anything against other people. It's just more a matter of, bass has always been seen as the foundation of music outside of funk, where, a lot of old school G-funk and classic funk, R&B, where it's really brought to the forefront. In rock, it's always just seen as, in the background, providing the low end. And Pauly does that and so much more. So that was a song that really came to fruition, getting us together and having Michael, kind of craft this story out of it. Definitely one of my favorites on the record. Definitely a crowd pleaser. I know before we even talked about this second record getting announced, that would be our closer at shows. And I think we'd place that properly, because there would always be people coming up to the merch table asking about that song, wanting to know where to get that song and listen to that song, which was a great segue into join the mailing list, and we'll let you know when the next record's coming out. So, that is an absolute favorite of mine for sure.
Michael, Around the Sun, from your point of view?
And what he's saying is exactly why we chose it as the first single. We're still kind of debating on the second single, and we actually, when we signed with Deko, we didn't want to pick, because I think all of our opinions change every other day. It's constant. It's a constant back and forth, depending on the day, on which song I think is my favorite out of the record and why. And I think that's true with all of us. So we gave it to Deko and just said, hey, we would rather have you. We kind of had a feeling that Around the Sun, so it was more of an affirmation that they picked that, because again, we've been playing this song for about a year live, a lot of these songs for about a year live. And that was always a crowd favorite. And we always thought, there's something to this song. And so it was a big affirmation that Deko chose it as the first. And I can't, and in going with that, can't wait for the video to be out. We just shot a full length video, so I can't wait for everybody to see that as well.
Michael, you mentioned Deko Entertainment is releasing Fight or Flight. Your debut album was on a small indie label. Deko, a step up as far as distribution and promotion and all those things. How did you end up making the deal?
Well, it was kind of, at the last minute. I mean, we had the difference in this record as a whole is that we wrote this record, a lot of it being on tour and testing it while being on tour. We have toured a lot over the last 2 years since the first record came out. And most of these songs, in fact, all of them, have been either written on the road or written here in Phoenix and then taken on the road to test out. And they change that way differently than they do in the studio. So we kind of became, as lack of a better word, a little precious with this record. There was a lot of stuff that we really wanted the record to have its best shot. And we had talked with several different labels, and, things mostly felt pretty good and some didn't, but Deko came in at literally the last minute. And we're pretty excited about what's going to happen this summer with the record. And it was literally last minute. I mean, we were ready to sign with another deal, and Deko, I don't even know how they got our material. Bruce from Deko, who's the CEO of Deko Entertainment, emailed me and said, "Hey, don't sign anything. I'm listening to this." I went, "Okay." And, yeah, and then it happened. So I was surprised.
Conrad, Deko's putting out the album for streaming, putting it on CD, which is kind of making its comeback too. Vinyl, also big comeback. Haven't seen an announcement for Fight or Flight on vinyl. Is that coming down the road?
Oh, we don't get the vinyl conversation started because we're all avid collectors and regular listeners of the old formats. I love CD. I'm picking vinyl every day of the week over it. So in a perfect world, it would be vinyl, streaming, and then CD, maybe cassette, 8-track, whatever, floats your boat. But vinyl will definitely be coming to fruition. 100%. Don't know when, but there will be some, and you will be able to pre-order them at, shameless plug here. I don't know. I'm not going to do it. I could do it, but I'm not going to. But yeah, vinyl for sure.
Yeah, vinyl will probably be available. It'll be sometime this summer. The CD is available now for it ships June 26th, right? Isn't that right? Yeah.
Oh, the CDs are available now.
They'll ship June.
Yeah,
20th.
I love CD.
Yeah,
I love CD is the best format ever. Please go buy our CD. Everything I said, I don't know. It was something in the coffee. CD's great. Mm-hmm.
But right, we are all vinyl nuts. So having the record on vinyl is a special thing for all of us, and it's absolutely on its way. It's just
you'll get to
a little longer, and we didn't want to wait for everything else. So
you'll get to see my guitar bigger on the vinyl versus the CD. It's a good looking guitar too. You won't want to miss it.
Michael, the day after the CD starts shipping, you got a big show opening up for Blackstone Cherry at the filling station in Grand Island, Nebraska.
Right.
With Pasty Jenny and Kurt Deimer. I would imagine that the band is excited for this one.
Yeah, a little bit. That show is just going to be, it's going to be cool on so many different levels. I'm from Nebraska. I grew up there before moving out to here to Phoenix. So we've taken a couple runs through the Midwest, through my old stomping grounds, and it's been great. Seeing people that I played with and that I hung with and that I went to school with, and at shows, and that's been awesome. But this one is huge stage. It's a great big outdoor show. We've got some of our friends on the bill, and it's going to be pretty cool.
It's a great team behind the production as well. We've been fortunate enough to work with these guys in the past, and it's bound to be an epic event.
Yeah.
Conrad, where does the live performances take you after this big show on release weekend?
We'll hopefully do a stage near every one of the listeners, ideally, right? Japan, why not? Germany, sure. Let's do it. Everywhere. Yeah. In terms of what's on the books, that's a great lead singer question. Because like I said earlier, I just get a time and a place and show up, hopefully on time, hopefully in the right state. Yeah.
Never on.
No, never on time. Who's keeping track, right? Not me. Yeah. So Michael Beck, where stage wise, where are we being taken after this show coming up?
There's a lot of stuff that's coming that I can't announce yet because it's still being in the works. We're going to be on tour with a very legendary band. I'm hoping here toward the end of the summer. I can't say who because I don't want to jinx it, but that's coming. And we'll be playing multiple shows, I think, with them. We've got some, I think we're here in Phoenix in September, and we're in, I can't remember where we are in August, but we'll definitely be on the road. And over the next, I would say probably 2 to 3 weeks, more shows are going to be announced. So right, because they're coming.
Yeah.
Michael, Escape the Hive has opened for a bunch of notable artists over the years, including Angel and Burning Witches and Faster Pussycat and Gene Loves Jezebel, which doesn't seem to fit in there. The Iron Maidens as well. Which was your best experience and which one was your worst?
Well, I don't know if I have a worst because, again, every good or bad, you learn something out of it, and I'm still learning, but I can tell you the best, and they were all great. I mean, Burning Witches is a great band, not necessarily our crowd, but I think we went over really well because we were different. Gene Loves Jezebel is kind of the same way. We were very different than the rest of the lineup, and we stuck out like a sore thumb, which is a good thing. So, but for me, and this is just me personally, it was Angel. I am a huge Angel fan from way back. It was literally my first concert way back. I'm not even going to tell you the year.
Way back. Yeah. Way back.
And it was an experience because I love those guys. I know the songs. I know the material. I've been fortunate where I've hung with some notables and been on stage with a couple. But I was kind of geeking out over Angel a little bit. Yeah. And that doesn't happen very often.
Conrad, how about you? Best experience and worst?
Well, I'm a firm believer that the best show is the next one. So as long as you guys, the audience, comes out to the next one, it's going to be the best one. And if you don't, it'll be the worst. So, yeah, it's hard for me to pick a favorite. Any excuse I get to share the stage with these guys is the best show and the worst show. So, life is beautiful in that way, isn't it? Isn't it just grand? I have favorite stages for sure. In Phoenix, Tempe, Arizona, we have the Marquee Theater. I remember growing up, that was the venue that I saw all of my favorite artists at. Everything from, Steel Panther to Striper to, I spent so many hours in that venue as a kid, always hoping to get to play it. And to this day, I've been fortunate to play celebrity theater to a sold out crowd, and even some larger scale stuff like Bike Week for 15-20,000 people. And there's just something about hitting that stage that you saw as a very what's an impressionable kid, you know what I mean? So that will always be a highlight stage for me. Of course, Whiskey A Go Go, being such a huge diehard fan of the late 70s, whole 80s Sunset Strip aura, sharing the same stage that David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen were on, and Motley Crue time and time again. And it was, that's always such an incredible experience for sure. But I think for me, the Marquee's hard to beat. I mean, it's a great production, great venue, good crowd. Yeah.
And I can tell you too, one of the other ones, and I think Conrad will agree with me on this, and we didn't realize it at the time, but I think it was like a year ago, literally a year ago. So last year, we were in Grand Island at the filling station where we're going to be on June 27th. And we played a different outdoor show with this big stage. And what we didn't realize, it was kind of dusk as we were going on. And what we didn't realize as we were playing is behind us is one of those huge, Nebraska thunderstorms with clouds and lightning and all kinds of stuff going on behind us. And it wasn't until because, we're facing this way. Right. And it wasn't until we saw some of the footage that fans had took from facing us where you could see all these clouds boiling behind us. It was so cool.
Also shows how oblivious we are when we're on stage.
True too.
So, if anybody has any shenanigans to be done, do it behind us because we'll never know,
Conrad, I saw that you were nominated for a Grammy last year for Best Children's Music Album for the release Rock for Children, Solid Rock Revival. It features yourself, Alice Cooper, Halford / Daryl McDaniel, Run DMC fame. Tell me a little bit about this project and how you got involved in it.
I'm glad you put that in that order. Me, Alice Cooper, that was great. That was awesome. Way to stroke the ego. Well done. That was an incredible opportunity. I've been involved with Alice Cooper Solid Rock Teen Center since I was a wee lad, I think since 2018 when I was 17 years old. And since then, being a part of their music competition, winning it my second year, I've been super, super fortunate to be a part of some really incredible events, including working alongside Alice on multiple occasions. We've done halftime shows at Suns games here. He has a celebrity golf tournament every year called Coopstock, and it's been such an incredible time getting able to work with these guys that I grew up listening to and idolizing. And part of that came years later, slowly building up that not only relationship, but also reputation of being the go-to call-in guy when they need somebody as a guitarist or lead guitarist. And when the concept was pitched of doing this children's record and came to the table, I was one of their calls, and was incredibly fortunate to get to, re-record and rewrite classic Alice Cooper tunes is just awesome with the guy. With Alice. So, there's, for those that haven't heard it, it's a kid's record that has some of your favorite tunes on it. So instead of I'm 18, it's I'm 13, and School's Out, No Bummer, and it was a really incredible experience. A lot of that was going in and laying down rhythm, and then getting to write and record solos around vocals, and we put the record together, and then I remember getting a call a couple months later saying, "Hey, it got recognized and nominated." And then that started the next chapter of, well, what am I going to wear to the Grammys? So, we, one thing led to the next. Warren Star Clothing, which is a local clothing brand here in Arizona, was very, very gracious and supplied me and my partner with full wardrobe, and got to check out the red carpet and brush shoulders with a bunch of other celebrities. It was really cool. It was a really incredible experience. But yeah, it was really mind blowing. Really, it's one of those things being an aspiring musician that you always dream of doing, and then it happens, and it's like whoa, and yeah, it was a very fight or flight moment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good segue. Do, do you remember who won the Grammy Award that night? Was it like the Wiggles?
All I know was that we were up against John Legend, and he didn't win. So I was like, if we're gonna lose, and John Legend is amazing, don't get me wrong, but if he didn't take it and we didn't take it, all is fair. You know what I mean? No, it was another really well put together record with a bunch of other artists. I genuinely cannot recall the record name or the band, but I know that I remember listening to some of it. It was well done.
Michael, while Conrad's busy jamming with Alice Cooper and Halford and all those guys, you do a lot of production work in your studio there. I saw you're working with a band named Operator, and you're also working with Phil Kubeck Project. Tell me a little bit about each of these bands and how far along things are there.
Yeah, I'm again, this is kind of my day job. So I'm working producing records for other bands. Operator is a young band from here in Phoenix. Phil Kubeck Project is from the Midwest. So Lincoln, Omaha area. So and there's a studio that I go back to in that area about 3 or 4 times a year to record bands, and it's great because it's a job that I've been doing for a long time. I've been doing it for 25 years, and it's great to be able to work with young talent, meet new talent. In fact, that's honestly how I met Conrad. Is because he was working with the Alice Cooper thing. I've been working with the Alice Cooper solid rock thing that he's involved with for 21 years. So that's how I met Conrad. And I remember seeing him the year he won as a little beardless punk. And
yeah. 17, by the way, audience, remember that 17. He found me at 17 years old. Do with that information what you will.
Yeah, I remember seeing him going, okay, he's not there yet, but there's something there.
he's almost legal. Almost. I think Winger had a song about that too, right?
And what's weird is that despite Conrad's age, he is maybe more vintage than the rest of us. So he knows, he'll mention bands from the 70s and 80s that all of us are going, how the hell do you know who that is?
Good parenting. Good parenting. Blame it on the pops.
Kudos to your dad for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it keeps me tied to to the music that's coming around the corner, even though I don't want to have anything to do with it musically myself. But yeah, it keeps me tied to things that are fresh and upcoming.
Now, Conrad, you mentioned earlier you're on vacation in northern Arizona. I see you're there with a Starbucks coffee. I'm just curious, is there another Starbucks across the street?
I don't see one, and I'm already checking the prices of rent out here because let me tell you, it is stunning. I'm looking at a beautiful mountain scenery and a lot less people. It's great. This is a nice little breeze. The biggest culture shock right now is that I'm sitting outside. I am willingly outside. This is good. Life is good.
Whereas I am not. I am in an air-conditioned studio and I'm afraid to open the door.
Yeah.
So, Michael, before I let you guys go, what is the origins of the band's name, Escape the Hive?
It's about freedom. It's about out of the norm. It's about doing something that everybody else is not doing. And that's kind of where we're at. I mean, we don't sound like other bands. I don't think we look like other bands. We definitely don't feel like other bands. And I've been in a lot of those other bands. And it's just an escape from the norm. And that's definitely what we are. We are, and it's not really even by design. It's just the way it worked out. I hate to keep coming back to that word organic, but I can't really think of a better one. It just kind of worked out. All four of us are pretty different personalities that work very well together, and none of us are interested in doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. The record,
and sorry to cut you off, but to speak to your point, I mean, none of it is forced. That's the biggest thing, and again, that's why organic just speaks to be the most fitting, because we are four, metalheads, classic rock guys that just are trying to keep it alive, and we love doing that thing. We love that era of music and how decadent it was, and just kind of bringing that to the forefront of what we do. I don't think any of us are really trying to be anything that we're not, which unfortunately you do see a lot today, just calling it like it is. And it's just four guys making a bunch of noise and hoping it sounds good. So
it's weird. When we go out on tour, there's you're playing with other bands, and they've got their their helix pedals on guitar up front, and their fractals, and the singer's got 15 tracks behind him, and all the backups are all tracked, and we are not like that. Every voice you hear is on a microphone. Conrad's lugging 412s and tube heads all the country. I won't even let Paulie, our bass player, I will not let him on stage unless he has his 810 cab underneath his head. So it's just, that's not normal anymore.
No.
That's different. And it shows live. I mean, we don't play tracks. We don't do anything. So we're not tied to a leash. So, one show might be this, one show might be that. It's a little different every night. And again, that is different from what most bands are doing. And that's not really by design for the most part, but it has become that way.
Yeah. Yeah, everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love production. Like, production is phenomenal when it comes to a live performance. It's one thing going to a show and another going to a concert, right? I mean, there is something to be said about that. But when a product is defined by the polishness, where you resort to tracks for perfection, and doing so to create the sound that is perfect and consistent every time, you lose the human touch.
Yeah.
You lose, and the big, and you can talk to any touring musician, any touring band about this, but a lot of times being on the road and playing show and night after night redefines what the songs are.
Yeah.
So we experienced playing new material before we recorded, and the mistakes that we made and the slip ups ended up resulting in really cool sections that made it to the album. And those things are things that you do not get unless you hit the road, unless you get out there, and again, that's why this next record has that organic touch, that human, that natural feel. There are things that may sound different and unique that make your ears perk up, and that was the songs doing a lot of that. We were just along for the ride.
Yeah, this record is really different from the first record in exactly what Conrad said, because the first record was written completely in the studio and then taken out. This record was taken out and then brought into the studio. And a lot of those little things that happened, while we're basically auditioning the song live on a stage are things we kept. And if you're playing, once every 6 weeks, I can't really go up to Conrad and say, hey, there's that thing that you did in the solo. You remember what you did? And he'll go, yeah. And then, okay, well, let's revisit that next month. You can't do that. Right. But if you're on the road, it's like, play that tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it any differently from here on out. And I mean, it also gives us an opportunity, when you write something, it's your baby. You're going to feel a certain way about it. When you play it for a group of people that have never heard you before, they're going to let you know if it's good or if it's bad. So again, putting the songs to the trial and test in the most vulnerable way is the best way of writing. Truly.
Well, Michael, Conrad, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new album is Fight or Flight. It comes out on June 26th through Deko Entertainment. They just sent me the full album while we were talking, so I'm looking forward to listening to it tonight, and I want to thank you both for taking the time to speak with me about it.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
This is a blast. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you listening to the record, and I would love to know what you hear about it as a whole. So,
once again, I want to thank Michael Thomas Beck and Conrad Varela of ESCAPE the Hive for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out their latest album, Fight or Flight, set for release on June 26th through Deko Entertainment. Head over to your favorite music streaming platform. Take a listen to what's available. If you like what you hear, buy a physical copy. For all things ESCAPE the Hive, head to their official website, escapethehiveofficial.com. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. Discover your next favorite artist on the Rock is George podcast.